And so as we wait for the Navy and NASA personnel to get their assessment of the crew inside of Orion, why don't we toss it back to Rob for an update?
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Here in Mission Control, Flight Director Rick Henfling and the entry team of flight controllers still on duty. The vehicle has been powered down for some time now. There are no hazardous gases emanating from Integrity. That, of course, allowed the recovery personnel to approach the vehicle and then open the hatch to begin the initial medical assessment of the crew, as you just indicated. Now we're standing by for the erection of that.
Just letting you guys know, we're going to start the show off right now. I'm going to keep going with the Artemis landing. The crew is still in the capsule. We're waiting for him to be brought out. So I'm just going to switch over to that for a little bit. We're going to watch that, and then we'll get on with the show.
Two hovering Navy helicopters, 2 crew members for each helicopter, for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. All of Integrity's systems operated flawlessly throughout the course of the approach to the Earth, the entry into the Earth's atmosphere, and all of the key milestones that followed in this high-speed return to Earth for Integrity, a mission that spanned more than 694,000 miles from the vehicle's launch from the Kennedy Space Center atop the Space Launch System back on April 1st. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the last time that the Apollo program saw a splashdown in the Pacific was Apollo 17 back on December 19th, 1972. So for the first time in some 53 and a half years, we have reenacted that with the arrival of Integrity's astronauts as they flew around the moon in that historic lunar flyby that began with a trans-lunar injection burn that took them out of Earth orbit following 24 hours of a high Earth orbit trajectory. The high Earth orbit trajectory enabled flight controllers here to have a full 24 hours to evaluate the systems on Integrity and the condition of the crew before they would commit to flying to the moon.
It's going to be a little slow, but they're getting ready to remove the crew. It can take a couple minutes before that gets going. But I thought that this is more important than you guys listen to me run my mouth. I'm looking forward to the next couple missions where we start. Artemis 3 has changed and will be it'll be launching and it'll be going into orbit. And what it will be doing is the capsule will be linking up with one or two different systems, one of them being Starship. I think they're looking at taking Starship and using that as the moon lander. And that is scheduled for 2027, which in the grand scheme of things is right around the corner. Right now, they're just getting everything stabilized. They do it a little bit different than SpaceX. SpaceX will recover the capsule, then remove the crew members. It sounds like from what the announcer was saying from NASA is they will be removing the crew members while still at sea. And then they'll be brought to the ship. From the ship, they'll be put on a helicopter once they're all there and made sure that they're stabilized. They'll be flown. Since this was a West Coast landing, I'm not sure where they would be flown to. Usually, if it's a Gulf or Atlantic landing, they'll be flown directly to Kennedy Space Center, where they start their recovery.
Side hatch of Orion having been opened to set the stage for the erection of the inflatable life raft, known as the front porch, to be erected alongside the spacecraft for the extraction of the crew. Let's play for you an interview that my colleague Megan Cruz conducted on the USS John P. Murtha with Navy diver First Class David McMahon that explains how this process is unfolding.
Okay, Davey, so you and some of your team, one last look over of the stabilization collar, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is this stabilization collar?
This is what's going to stabilize the capsule out there in the ocean. We don't know how good the weather or the waves will be that day, so this will help prevent any unnecessary occurrences from happening, stabilizing the capsule and the astronauts inside.
So basically this is a float that will go around Orion. I'm assuming that what they're doing right now, these are the lines that will attach the collar onto Orion?
That is correct.
And so what are they doing here?
So we've got the lower line that will secure the inflation device before we inflate it. That gives us the go-ahead that it's secure in its space, and then we'll inflate it. And then once that is done, we'll undo all the carabiners and get this orange line on top tied in the same fashion. And then this will be secured to the capsule, and the astronauts can safely take their first steps out of the capsule onto the front porch.
Okay, and how long will it take them to set up the stabilization collar?
We should definitely be able to handle this in under 10 minutes.
Okay, wow. And then you just mentioned the front porch. So basically, after they set up the stabilization collar, then they set up what's called the front porch here.
That's correct.
Okay, and what's the front porch?
Front porch is basically a bigger waiting room for the astronauts to sit in while we wait for the helicopters to show up and grab them.
Okay, so the medical team that was inside with the crew, they're going to help them out and onto the front porch?
That is correct.
And then what happens here?
We have higher trained medical personnel also on board the front porch.
Well, while they're doing some reviews, let's go over a couple,
make sure they're okay.
at least one segment. And we're going to jump ahead to a segment that I was going to wait on, but we're going to talk about it now. And the political walls are closing in on Eric Swalwell. And this time, the calls for accountability are coming from inside his own house. Fellow Democrats, including his rival in the California gubernatorial race, Katie Porter, are publicly addressing very troubling allegations of sexual misconduct and inappropriate behavior involving female staffers. Now, what has happened? I mean, that's another segment that I jumped ahead of by accident. He has lost. Members of his staff have resigned. People in his campaign have resigned. Adam Schiff has pulled his support. Trying to find the other one. California something. California. I had it. I know I had it. Don't you hate when that happens? I got it right here. California Teachers Associations have yanked their endorsement in support of Eric Swalwell. The allegations that are just coming out, the governor of California has pulled his support. 4 more women have described sexual misconduct by Representative Eric Swalwell, including a former staffer who says he raped her. The Democrat, a candidate governor for California, has denied the allegations. I saw where Eric Swalwell, has made threats of lawsuits against these women that are making these accusations, which, and that's intimidation, and I mean, I question the legality of that. I mean, is he intimidating a witness in this? He supposedly has also sent out letters of cease and desist. He's threatening lawsuits against these people. That's not good. The fact that Democrats are turning against him, people like Adam Schiff is turning against him. Usually when this happens to Democrats, when accusations happen, doesn't matter what, they usually circle the wagon and start protecting. Now that you're getting these people turning, Democrats not backing them and stuff, that's not good. That's not a good sign. I've also read, and I'm not going to give sources or anything because I don't know how legit they are. I'm just giving information now that it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse with the accusations. And I have another segment that I'll talk more in depth on some of the accusations that are going on. It doesn't look good for Eric. And for the fact of how he treated Trump and some of the things, how he treated Brett Kavanaugh, it's not looking good for him. No, it isn't. And again, it goes to really what we always see. Democrats accusing others, and sooner or later we find out it's exactly what they were doing. What do we got here? Looks like they're getting ready to pull a crew member out, possibly. Like I said, I'm going to be jumping around. When stuff's happening, I'll just play the video. But in the middle, it can get a little boring sometimes, and I know it can. So we'll talk about the subjects. But it's for years, Swalwell has played the role of a moralizing crusader on cable news. He has tried to act so superior over the years. Even with the Fang accusations, he still tried to go on the higher ground. Well, it seems he ran his mouth a bit too much, and now it's coming back to bite him in the ass. But it seems like his own party is no longer willing to provide him cover as a fresh wave of accusations threatens to derail his political future. What makes this politically damaging for Swalwell is the source of the pressure. These aren't just MAGA talking points, which he tries dumping it. It's just MAGA talking points. This is his staff that are making the accusations. This is not MAGA. That is such a lame excuse when you have to run to that. All right. And bullshit. This is coming from the left. This is coming from his own type of people are accusing him of it. And he's trying to dump it and just make it about Trump. Well, that's not going to help you legally. I mean, there's accusations basically here of rape. I'm not saying he did it or he didn't. It's accusations. And you can't go into a court going, Trump. It's not going to be good for him. There are concerns raised by progressive influencers, female leaders within the Democrat primary field. Katie Porter's recent comments on CNN, where she referenced potential claims of sexual assault and harassment, signal that the Believe Women standard is finally being applied to one of DEC's favorite sons. The irony is unavoidable. The man who spent years trying to ruin others with unproven collusion theories is now facing a reckoning based on his own alleged conduct. Swalwell's campaign has fired back, calling the rumors false and outrageous, and blaming MAGA conspiracy theorists for teaming up with his primary opponents. It's the standard Swalwell playbook: deflect, deny, and blame Trump. But that accusation or that excuse is wearing thin even with his base. When your own colleagues start using words like sexual assault in national interviews, a simple orange man bad defense isn't going to cut it. The public is starting to see the pattern of behavior that has trailed this congressman for years. Remember, this is a guy who bang fang Chinese spy, or allegedly. This is a man who fought the release of the FBI files of the bang fang files. Well, if you're so innocent and you did nothing, you wouldn't care. You would encourage those files to be released so that all the years of the accusations could be squashed. And you can go, see, I told the truth. But this man is suing to block the release of those files. Only a guilty man would want it blocked. I mean, that's the theory that everybody ran with Trump, even though he wasn't trying to block the Epstein. He was trying to get it released. But they can't, he's blocking it because he's in it. Well, Eric Swalwell's trying to block files because he has some guilt he's trying to block from being released. We also have to, as I talk about, remember Swalwell's history with bang fang, the Chinese spy who reportedly infiltrated his inner circle. While he has survived that scandal with the help of his friendly House Ethics Committee, the FBI is now reportedly looking into releasing those case files. Between the national security red flags of the past and the personal misconduct allegations of the present, Swalwell is becoming a massive liability. Even the most loyal Democrats are starting to realize that he's more baggage than he's worth in a high-stake gubernatorial race. The timing of the allegations, just a week before the ballots go out in California, suggests that the protected status Swalwell once enjoyed has expired. In the cutthroat world of California primary, his opponents are finally using the same weapons he's used against others. If these women come forward as promised, the front-runner status his campaign claims will evaporate instantly. No amount of late-night TV appearances can save a candidate when the Me Too movement he championed finally turns its sights on him. Furthermore, Swalwell's reaction, vowing to abolish ICE and harass federal agents, looks like a desperate attempt to shore up his far-left flank and distract from the personal scandals. He's trying to out-radical his opponents to keep the focus off his character. It's a transparent move from a man who knows his back is against the wall. The Reaver of Common Sense sees right through it. You can't scream about saving democracy and protecting women while your own office is allegedly a toxic environment for female employees. When you have employees, even ex-employees, coming forth and accusing you, you can't champion protecting women. The media's role in this will be interesting to watch. Will they give these accusers the same platforms they gave to every person who had a grievance against a conservative, or will they protect the resistance hero until the bitter end? The fact that CNN and other outlets are even reporting on Porter's comments suggests the dam is breaking. When you lose the support of your own party's women, your political career is effectively on life support. Ultimately, this is about the hypocrisy of the ruling class. Eric Swalwell has lived his life in a glass house while throwing some of the largest stones in Washington. Now that the windows are breaking, he has no one to blame but himself. Whether it's his questionable ties to foreign influence or his alleged treatment of the staff, the truth is finally catching up to him. California deserves better than a governor who is constantly dodging a new scandal every other week. Yes, Jack Boozer. Swalwell is toast. When you have Adam Schiff, of all people, turning against you, oh, you're screwed. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, is there any comments? What they're putting around is,
and it looks like they're starting
stabilize
to unfold the front porch in order to get that into the water here shortly and inflate that as well.
But that will stabilize the capsule, make it easier to get the astronauts off. Now you got to remember, at the same time, these men and women have been in space. Now, when you're in space, your equilibrium goes to shit. I mean, think about it. That little liquid that's in your ear gets floating, and your body gets used to it, not being in contact. Now they're back on Earth, that throws their equilibrium off big time. So you got the rolling of the sea going on at the same time. Could you imagine trying to walk out in that type of environment? This isn't the normal Reaver of Common Sense, but hey.
The reason why they had to get out so early is just to stage everything. And actually here on the ship, when there are flight operations happening, you can't have anything else, right? Just because the flight deck can be a dangerous place, so they just want to focus on planes coming and going from the ship, so that's why they wanted to get the boats in the water to make sure that they have all the time they needed for the flight ops. And then the same crew here out in the water, they will stay out in the water for a number of hours after we recover the crew and get them back on the ship, because then they have to recover Orion.
It's a long process. And we do have military assets that are out there, too. I was talking with some family members about that. Could you imagine not having military assets? You would have our enemies that could take a pot shot and sink that.
Again, they need to
imagine the national tragedy that would happen if some scumbag terrorist group or some scumbag country tried to take a pot shot at that capsule.
Lifting it up off of the water just a tad. Again, so
I'm looking forward now to Artemis 3. And we also got Starship, I think 12 coming up soon. Ooh, they got a nice little porch. With this whole thing on the outside you could walk on. It looked like it was just a flotation device, but it's adding a platform that you can walk around the whole capsule. So I don't know if you guys saw the rescue divers and stuff were on the outside just walking around. It adds a whole platform. That's pretty cool.
And now that front porch looks like it's nearly fully inflated as well. You can see a much larger surface area.
All right, what are you guys' thought on Eric Swalwell? I mean, I think at this point he should resign. Some of these accusations are just, it's not the normal 20, 30 years ago accusations. And I'm not totally believing them, but some of these are just too recent, and it's his own staff that's doing it. That's the part that's got me. It's not some right-wing person that came forward. Oh, he did this. No, it's his own staff is coming forward. I think the one person that resigned was his campaign manager or something like that, Jimmy Gomez. And his post was, "Today I learned shocking information about Eric Swalwell containing the ugliest and most serious accusations imaginable. My involvement in any campaign begins and ends with trust. I cannot in good conscience remain in any role with this campaign, and I am stepping down from it effective immediately. The congressman should leave the race now so there can be full accountability without doubt, distraction, or delay." Like I said, it's CNN running this. It's not just, okay, Fox is just running it, so you can blow that excuse out. It's not some MAGA person that's making the excuse. So his lame excuse, crying about MAGA, is just a lame excuse. They're trying to make it sound like that it's Roger Stone controlling this on this.
Also being fed to the landing force operations center.
It doesn't seem that way. But it's a former staff, says Rep. Eric Swalwell, candidate for California governor, sexually assaulted her. And one of the accusations is he went out drinking with her and she woke up naked.
Again, listening to their communication loop.
And let's remember, Eric Swalwell was real big on support survivors, believe survivors. We are with you.
It means things are going.
Remember that whole "we got to believe,"
meaning as expected.
Every accusation. And he was behind that. That's a whole system on that capsule I've never seen before. That's something new, I think. Now, I wasn't around, well, sort of, but I was born in 71, so even the early missions that we did, I don't remember, or late missions that we did in the 7. I don't remember too much. So these capsules like this, I think that's a new system we've come up with. It's pretty interesting. I don't know which one's better. Retrieve the whole capsule and then remove the astronauts, or remove the astronauts prior to retrieving the capsule. SpaceX has got a pretty good system. I'll give them that. And it's funny because I get, oh, you're just Elon Musk groupie. No, actually, I didn't like Elon Musk for a long time, and I didn't like SpaceX. I thought he was going to ruin it. He was going to fail, and his ambitions and everything. I was like, there's no way he can do any of this. There's no way. And he proved me wrong. And you know what? I can admit when I'm wrong, and I can, change my opinion on stuff with facts. What he's done with his space program is amazing. Even his cars. I'm not going to buy an electric car, but I could see where he's done some great things with the development of those electric cars. I can give him kudos. But you're never going to see me buy an electric car. Looks like they're getting ready to pull people out. In a minute, I'm going to switch over. I'm just going to have that feed up. I'll take my ugly mug off of here for you guys. Once they start getting people off, I know I'm jumping around on subjects, guys, but hey, it is what it is. This is the part I hate about having to do portrait. Because in landscape, that is a beautiful picture. You really get a good sense of what's going on. Cell phones have ruined it. And YouTube's kind of forcing us into this portrait. Because if you don't have a massive following, you're not going to get exposure unless you do portrait. Because really, our bread and butter would be landscape. The only reason why we're doing portrait is because of getting the exposure. Otherwise, we don't. And it's starting to get to the point where we're getting throttled again.
Behind me, a fairly raucous scene as hundreds of flight controllers have poured into the flight control room here. This is reminiscent of the scene after the final shuttle mission of STS-135, although that was the end of a program. This is only the beginning of a program with the textbook splashdown of Integrity and its 4 astronauts. We're standing by for the crew to be extracted from the spacecraft. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling invited all of these flight controllers who have contributed to this mission to enter the flight control room to have an opportunity to receive well wishes and to share the mutual glow that exists in the wake of a textbook mission for Integrity. On the front screen here in Mission Control, a sign that says "Welcome home, Integrity," taking humanity back to the moon, going further, and returning safely to Earth. So all of that jubilation, part of
now I want to jump in here real quick. Look at that logo and burn it into your mind, and go look at Stargate, TV show.
For the trip back to the USS John P. Murtha.
If you know, you know. Every time I think they're getting ready to take them out, they kind of...
Once again here in Mission Control, this view of the Artemis Flight Control Room, known as the White Flight Control Room. This is the old shuttle flight control room, and now is the home of Artemis missions to the moon and beyond. Once again, quite a few flight controllers were invited in by Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling to share in the jubilation following the successful splashdown of Integrity. That splashdown occurring an hour and 22 minutes ago, as we stand by for the completion of the extraction of the crew, and ultimately they're hoisting onto Navy helicopters for a short flight back.
All right, what we're going to do, we're going to get going on another subject, or onto another segment, I should say. And as things progress, we'll jump back. But we're going to go more onto the Eric Swalwell scandal that is going on. The political world is reeling from a bombshell report in the San Francisco Chronicle. Geez, San Francisco Chronicle. Sounds real MAGA to me, doesn't it? Detailing a harrowing sexual assault allegation against Congressman Eric Swalwell. A former staffer hired when she was just 21, has come forward with an account of multiple incidents that paint a disturbing picture of predatory behavior and the abuse of power. These aren't just vulgar rumors. We are talking about a specific graphic claims involving forced encounters, blackouts, and a total betrayal. Oh. Looks like they brought the first one out. First astronaut has been removed.
Here in the flight control room, the first crew member is out of Integrity. We are expecting the other crew members momentarily to be extracted. We now have 2 crew members out.
So that's what, 2 out of 4? Exactly, Eric. That's a great statement for of today's world. Agree 100%.
2 crew members out, 2 to go.
2 down, 2 to go.
We're about 1 hour from sunset out in the Pacific. Everything continues to go well. Integrity's systems function perfectly during its entry back to Earth. And Reed Wiseman, the commander, who will be...
What I can say for Boeing and Starliner.
The crew members were feeling very well.
That'll get the haters going. I'll tell you, I couldn't believe it on Facebook. The haters. If you said something negative about Starliner, holy shit, did you get attacked?
Crew member number 3 now out.
1 more to go.
And now standing by for the commander, Reed Wiseman, who will be last out of his ship.
I don't think I could do what these men and women do. That would scare the shit out of me on that rocket. Being up in space, how thin that thing is, that, you know, if there's a problem, fucked.
During its journey from launch,
I mean, this piece of space dust could pop a hole in that thing at any moment. Well, that's what would be going through my mind, at least. I know I'm fucking up the algorithm tonight. The algorithm, YouTube's algorithms likes having a seizure. Because 1 minute we're talking politics, next minute we're showing Artemis, then we're politics going back and forth, and it's just giving algorithm seizures because it don't know what to do. Oh, I agree, Eric. It pissed me off when Obama did away with the space program, when he pretty much shut it down and turned NASA into that climate bullshit. That was how far ahead would we have been? We almost had our replacement for the shuttle done, billions of dollars into getting the next program up and running, and he shut it down. So when Trump came back in and started this back up, we had to start from scratch on everything, and it cost a lot of money. But like you said, how far we could have had a space station on the moon by now. But I will give Obama one bit of credit for what he did. He may have shut down NASA, but he opened it up to the public and opened it up to the likes of Elon Musk, who has advanced space travel more than we have in God knows how many decades. So that's one good thing that came out of it. But yeah, we could have been advanced. I'd like to see where we are 10, 20 years from now with the likes of Elon Musk and, I can't think of the other companies, sorry. But everybody knows what's Blue Origin and all those. They actually have a miniaturized shuttle. One of the companies is working on it and can hold crew and all that. I'm looking forward to that. I miss the space shuttles. My wife's still like, are we going to watch the shuttle launch? No, hon, we're not. Why not? Because we're about 10 years too late. You know what I mean, a rocket. I get in trouble all the time with the wife. All right, so I'm going to keep this playing in the background. I'll even keep the volume going. So when they got something to say, we can stop and listen to it. I'm pretty sure I have faith in my audience. They can take having a couple things happening at the same time. But what we've been talking about is the sexual assault allegations against Eric Swalwell, Representative Eric Swalwell, who's running for Congress, or excuse me, governor in California. And these aren't just vague rumors. They are talking about specific graphic claims involving forced encounters, blackouts, and total betrayal of the trust between a representative and his employee.
The mission is over, but the melody lingers on as jubilation continues here in the flight control room.
For a man who has built his career on a foundation of moral superiority and believe women rhetoric, these accusations are a catastrophic blow to his remaining credibility. The details provided by the former staff are chilling. She described an incident in 2019 when Swalwell allegedly pressured her into a sexual act in a parking lot. All while he was a married man and her direct supervisor. Later that same year, she claimed she woke up naked in his hotel bed with no memory of how she got there, feeling the physical effects of intercourse. This pattern of behavior, if true, suggests a calculated use of alcohol and professional leverage to exploit a young subordinate. It is the textbook definition of a toxic caste couch culture that the left claims to despise. Yet here is an allegedly occurring in the office of one of the most prominent Democrat leaders. Even more disturbing is the claim that this behavior continued years later. The women described a 2024 encounter at a charity gala where she again became inebriated and claimed she explicitly told Swalwell no as he forced himself on her. She recounts waking up during the assault and telling him to stop only to black out again. These are second-degree rape allegations corroborated by a friend and a former boyfriend who says she told them about the assault the very next day. This isn't a he said, she said. in a vacuum. There is a trail of trauma and contemporaneous reporting that makes these claims impossible to ignore. One of the things I read on X, someone made an excellent comment. Why doesn't Swalwell, after all his bluster...
This is Mission Control Houston here in the Artemis Flight Control Room. A number of flight controllers basking in the glory of the successful end of this mission.
Why doesn't he release all the women that have signed NDAs against him? Release them of their NDA and allow them to come forward if he's so sure of his innocence. Because remember, I'm going to bump this stream off for a minute. We're going to pop up another one real quick. Because there's something that he had said years ago. In fact, it was 2018. About the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation hearing with those allegations. Get this up. Boom. There you go. All right. This is what he said to Brett Kavanaugh. What, about 8 years ago?
The claims are serious. The witness yesterday was credible, and it is something that falls within the purview of what law enforcement can do and should do. And so I think they should let law enforcement do their job and not rely on 5-minute question and answer sessions with senators. Any woman that has come forward publicly with her name and her allegation should be investigated. We don't want to see a judge sent to the Supreme Court with asterisks or question marks around him. The claims.
Well, I guess we don't want to see a sitting House of Representative member elected as governor of a state that has asterisks next to his name. I mean, this man has God knows how many asterisks, starting with bang, bang, fang, fang, and he still wants to hide that. But Swalwell's response has been exactly what you expect. Total denial and the immediate deployment of a cease and desist letter. I still can't believe he sent out a cease and desist letter. He is attempting to litigate his way out of a character crisis. However, the internet has a very long memory. And as I played the clip, in 2018, during the Brett Kavanaugh hearing, Swalwell famously stated that alleged victims deserve to be heard, and that their claims should be fully investigated. Now that the shoe is on the other foot, he seems much less interested in making sure voices are heard.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're about an hour and 34 minutes since the textbook splashdown of integrity in the Pacific to bring home our astronauts. And with us now is Ahmed Shathria, the NASA Associate Administrator.
All right. The hypocrisy is so thick you could choke on it. He wants a standard of guilty and proven innocence for his enemy and silence by legal threat for himself. And as I said earlier, threatening these women, what's the border of basically threatening a witness? You know, trying to silence a witness. That's. I'm not a legal scholar, never claimed to be. But that's my question. Him trying to silence. I mean, I want to know if there's NDAs before that were signed, and how many women have signed NDAs over events with Eric Swalwell. That's why we need to release out of Congress that whole Congress slush fund where they pay sexual assaults off. That whole list needs to be released, not just Eric's. Everybody in Congress that's had to pay off needs to be released. Hey, it's only fair we know who's representing us.
Fired the engines in Stennis, that fired the boosters in Promontory. I mean,
this scandal goes beyond one congressman.
And being tested by the environment.
It exposes the selective outrage of the mainstream media and the Democrat establishment. Where are the calls for him to step down? Where are the round-the-clock panels discussing the safety of women in Washington? If a Republican had these kinds of detailed, collaborated allegations of a former staffer. We've had less credible accusations against Republicans and 24 hours and calls for being arrested, calls for resigning immediately. But even though Democrats have been pulling their support, it's not the same.
I always think about energy in terms of the states that you worry
The
about.
building would be surrounded by cameras if it was a Republican. Protesters by noon. Think of how many protesters would be in Washington if this was a Republican being accused. Think about it. Instead, we see a slow walk of the news in a desperate attempt to frame this as a private matter or a political hit job. We also have to consider the national security implications that have always dogged Swalwell. This is the same man who was compromised by a Chinese spy. Bang, bang, fang, fang. And was allowed to keep his seat on the Intel Committee. Think about that. He had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy and kept his seat on the Intel Committee.
I have not been able to watch a lot of
for years.
As we've progressed through the mission.
If he was this vulnerable to personal indiscretion and alleged criminal behavior, it's no wonder he was a target for foreign intelligence. A man who cannot control his own impulse or respect the boundaries of his staff is a massive liability to the United States government. The common sense conclusion is that he should have been gone years ago. For the victim, coming forward against a powerful sitting congressman is a terrifying prospect. She is facing a machine designed to protect its own at all costs. But the facts are starting to leak through the cracks. When you combine these new assault allegations with his past scandals, you see a man who thinks the rules simply do not apply to him. He thinks he can preach to the American people about decency and democracy while allegedly treating his young female staff like a disposable object for his own gratification. As this story develops, we cannot let it be swept under the rug. Eric Swalwell has spent years acting as a self-appointed conscience of the House of Representatives. Now he needs to answer for the specific, documented, and corroborated claims of women who says he destroyed her sense of safety. The Reaver of Common Sense will stay on the story because justice shouldn't depend on your party affiliation. If you're a predator, you belong in a courtroom, not the halls of Congress. It's time for the Believe Women crowd to prove they actually mean it. What is it? CNN tweet that came out approximately 7:15 p.m. 4 women have described sexual misconduct by Representative Eric Swalwell, including a former staffer who says he raped her. The Democrat, a candidate for governor of California, has denied the allegations. That's pretty strong. Losing your endorsement from the sitting California governor is not good. Losing your support from a liar such as Adam Schiff is not good. If Schiff is abandoning the boat on your ass, that is not good.
What they wanted to do was learn how to live and work in space for a long time.
Not looking good for him, I'll tell you that.
First, before they were confident they could expand their range of action to the moon. Now, of course, the politics of the time,
I think
the mission at the time was different, and so they had to go straight to the moon and bring people home. And then after that,
looks like they're picking them up by helicopter one by one.
After that, NASA kept moving along those paths, right? So we recognized during Apollo that reusability was going to be important. We spent a lot of money on those machines, and we spent a lot of money on these machines here. Even though, but we recognized that reusability was important, which is why we built a winged space plane called Space Shuttle.
Which one I want to go
and then we
yet?
used that reusable machine to build a space station. And we learned for 25 years how to live and work in space. And
the spectacular of a sitting congressman being dismantled on live television is becoming a recurring theme. But Khanna's recent appearance on CNBC set a new low for political gaslighting. While attempting to defend the legacy of Obama's administration, Khanna confidently asserted that former President Barack Obama successfully removed 97% of Iran's enriched uranium. Yes. Let me see if I got the clip for it. Oh, my God. They will lie about everything. And what's scary is there's so many people that listen to it. Yep, we got a clip. Oh, this will be fun. Oh.
This is Mission Control Houston, with the crew members now beginning to be hoisted aboard the Navy.
We haven't gotten rid of it.
All right. Are we ready?
The enriched uranium is still buried underneath. We haven't gotten rid of it. Obama had gotten rid of 97% of that enriched uranium.
But we don't know exactly what they were telling. Well, we know they weren't telling us the truth. We already know that from the missiles that they've launched. We know that from other things, that basically they've been lying all along.
The enriched uranium is still...
I love seeing these idiots that have been protected by the media, and the media now calling them out. I think some of these companies, now that they've been sold and bought by others, are starting to realize that their low ratings aren't going to make it anymore. That if they don't produce, and you can bash Fox all you want. I'll bash Fox too, right along with you. But they do enough right that they keep people watching, keep the ratings up, and they make money. If CNN and MSNBC were making money, they wouldn't be sold off like they are. People would be clamoring to keep them. If you're making money, you're not going to get sold off that easy. And they're not. Why? Because they've been telling lies for years. They've been letting Democrats come on their show and lie their ass off and not challenge them on it. And it's been ridiculous. I'm glad to see that finally that they're being called out. But Earl Hunt, it was a bold claim intended to rewrite the history of the JCPOA as a flawless victory for democracy. But the facts immediately caught up with him. The host didn't let the comment slide, creating a moment of pure secondary embarrassment for the California representative. In reality, the 97% figure is a gross mischaracterization of nuclear landscape and the actual stockpile involved during that era. It was a desperate attempt to pivot away from the current foreign policy failures by clinging to a distorted version of the past. Excuse me, not failures, but the current policies that are succeeding.
On this history-making moment tonight.
Totally, I don't know where that came from. I 40 feet hate when this. Over the front porch. I don't proofread good enough. Watching the gears grind as he realized he had been caught in a blatant falsehood was a masterclass in political hubris. This isn't just a single lie. It's about the culture of entitlement that allows these representatives to believe they can say anything without being challenged. Khanna had likely expected a friendly platform where his numbers wouldn't be taken at face values. When the data didn't back him up, the narrative crumbled instantly. It exposed fundamental disconnect between the talking points prepared in backrooms and the reality that the American public is actually observing. The failure from this humiliation has been swift across social media, where the clip has gone viral as a symbol of the expert class losing its grip. For a man often touted as tech-savvy and forward-thinking leader, failing at basic historical math is a significant blow to his credibility. It forces us to ask what else is being exaggerated or completely fabricated in the halls of Congress. If he's willing to lie about something so easily verifiable, the rest of his platform is a suspect. Furthermore, the defense of the Iran deal continues to be a hill that many in the current administration are willing to die on. But trying to polish the Obama-era record, Khanna is trying to shield the current foreign policy team from the consequences of their own negotiations. This desperation is palpable. What it comes down to is what's going on in the Middle East right now and Trump's success. They are trying to, number one, if anything, link it saying Obama was more successful, which he wasn't. Obama and Biden helped empower Iran. They funded, God knows how, funneled how much money back into Iran. Those deals were not good for America. They endangered America. And if Iran is going to continue its shit that's going on right now,
The last astronaut.
and they don't uphold to the negotiations and the agreements,
Now off the front porch and almost
they're going to be in some deep shit, because what's going to happen next is not going to be very good for them.
back to the ship where we are.
All right, what we're going to do is I'm getting ready to end my show.
Just west of San Diego and the Pacific.
I'm going to keep the stream up with... Actually, I might restart the stream. Then go landscape so you guys can get a beautiful picture of what's going on.
Exciting to see our 4 crew.
What we're going to talk about real quick before we end this here. And again, I'm just going to switch feeds and go over to a landscape and get things going for everybody.
550 people.
Trying to decide whether it's best just to keep this going.
Excited, ready, anxious, looking forward to welcoming this crew aboard.
Now we'll figure it out in a minute, won't we? As we wrap things up, remember that the work doesn't stop when the show ends. Stay sharp, stay informed, and don't let the gaslighting get to you. We've covered a lot of ground tonight, and we watched some historic footage.
Close to the ship here.
From the betrayal in New York's sanctuary streets to the hypocrisy of foreign policies coming out of the Senate. Wish we could have got over everything, but I thought this was more important. I still think it's more important right now. The historic of watching, and to think about these 4 crew members just went further than any human has gone. It's amazing. And I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in and joining the fight. This community is the backbone of what we do here at SHR Media. And we wouldn't be here without your support. We are 4 ex-first responders, from law enforcement to retired military and EMS fire. We spend our lives on the front lines. We aren't going anywhere, and we aren't backing down. Before we head out, a massive thank you to our YouTube memberships and everyone who fired off any super chats this week. You are the reason this show stays uncensored and unapologetic. You keep us independent, you keep the volume up, and you keep the lights on. If you haven't yet headed over to shrmedia.com, well, go over there now and grab some of the latest gear and let the world know you're part of the Common Sense Vanguard. Don't forget, we have a special limited edition 250 t-shirt. Before we sign off, make sure you catch the rest of the SHR Media family. Edge of Liberty with Sackhead Sean every Monday and Wednesday, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard. BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon with BZ every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bjorn Bullstein with Lyle Armstrong every Friday and Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Mission Ready Men with Big E Jackson, Tuesdays and Thursdays, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And of course, you have Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe. That's me, every Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for letting me into your home and your wherever you're listening from tonight. I'm Jersey Joe, and this has been the Reaver of Common Sense. And as we always say, where the truth lives and the nonsense dies screaming. Good night, everybody.
From wheels down. And there you go. We now have all 4 Artemis II crew members on the USS John P. Murtha. I'm sure they're happy to be out of the water and on this recovery ship with, again, 550 people on board, ready to welcome them home. But first, as we've been saying throughout the broadcast, just making sure the crew feel good. We reported that they were feeling good when they were in Orion, but those were just initial quick verbal assessments of how they're feeling. Their destination tonight, the medical bay here on the ship, right after we power down the helicopters here. The team on the flight deck working quickly but methodically. Waiting for just one more helicopter to touch down. Very limited personnel here on the flight deck.
Restricted maneuver doctrine is in effect.
As that third helicopter touches down.
The ship is at flight quarters. Stand clear of waiter decks, aft of frame 095. Burn no cover stop side, throw no articles over the side, hold all trash and garbage on station. Flight quarters.
While just a few folks on the flight deck itself, there are plenty more on some upper decks. I see in some of our views a very packed crowd overhead. Announcements being made over the ship's loudspeaker system, reminding folks to stay clear of operational areas like the flight deck, so that teams can work quickly to get the crew off of the helicopters and into the medical bay. Splashdown today, 5:06 p.m. Pacific time. We are within 2 hours of that splashdown time, and already we have all 4 crew members on the flight deck of the USS John P. Murtha. Again, crew waiting before getting out for the helicopters to completely shut down. Safety, of course, very important to NASA and the U.S. military. So we'll wait just a couple of minutes here before we start seeing crew members walk off the helicopters one by one. All right, and now here we see pilot Victor Glover and mission specialist Christina Cook sitting on the edge of one of the helicopters, looking in great spirits. That familiar smile and laugh from Victor, I can see it from here. Christina, I'm sure, feeling the same way, just blocked a little bit by our camera here, but we'll see her here shortly. A photographer taking their pictures. Victor saluting folks on the flight deck. They look like they're in great spirits. Happy to be home, I'm sure. If you're sitting at home, I hope you too are wondering, what would you want to ask them if you got a chance to talk to them? Because that is what I'm thinking about. Getting the opportunity to talk to or ask questions of these 4 astronauts who just made history as the first crew to return to the moon since 1972. Oh, there we see Christina there, also smiling, finally peering out, waving at the cameras. Hello to you too, Christina, yes. Welcome back. Welcome, welcome home. A loudspeaker announcement on the ship saying, "Welcome home, integrity." Victor in great spirits. I can't see who he's talking to, but I kind of think that he might be talking to his other 2 crew members. Shouting from across the flight deck, congratulations to one another. And so now we see some Navy personnel walking up to the helicopter. This is again the first helicopter carrying pilot Victor Glover and mission specialist Christina Cook. Both have taken off their helmets now. Some pictures, video to catalog this historic moment. A beautiful sunset just behind them here in the Pacific Ocean. Golden hour. These pictures will be beautiful. Now we see NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. He is on the flight deck, as well as Flight Surgeon Rick Schuring walking over to Victor and Christina first. We saw the administrator walk over to the other helicopter, which is carrying Commander Reed Weissman and Mission Specialist Jeremy Hansen. We heard from Rick earlier in the broadcast. Again, he said he's going to be out there on the flight deck to do another initial assessment of the crew, ask them how they're feeling, anything bothering them. But again, from what I'm seeing, they look like they're in great spirits and feeling pretty good for folks who just traveled 695,000 miles from Florida to the moon and now here to the Pacific Ocean. We're now seeing NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman walking across the flight deck. He had been talking to Reed and Jeremy, now approaching Victor and Christina. A hug from Victor, a hug from Christina. What a moment that we're getting to experience together. I'm sure congratulatory words. You know, we got to speak to the administrator live on this broadcast as well, and he said the kid in him right now, giddy, absolutely giddy. at what we were able to accomplish today, returning them home safely and in good spirits after a 10-day mission around the moon. And here we go. We're seeing Jeremy walking, waving across the flight deck, now on his way to the medical bay. It's a short walk, less than a minute. Again, that's why the recovery team decided to use helicopters to get them on the flight deck for that short walk to medical bay. And now on the flight deck, we see the chief of the astronaut office, Scott Tingle. Rick Schuring switching places. He's going over to the other helicopter. Big hugs from Victor, Christina to Scott. Again, a gorgeous sunset setting the stage for this recovery tonight. All right, and now here we are, Christina, making her way, looking thankful, grateful, happy to be home. You can see she's looking up. Again, lots of people, just a few levels up off the flight deck, welcoming her home. Scott holding the door like a gentleman, but back on his way to the other crew still on the flight deck. So still on the flight deck, Victor Glover and Reed Weissman. It looks like Victor will be the next one headed to medical bay. More hugs, more hugs. He's a hugger. Victor looking good as he walks across the flight deck. NASA administrator applauding. Victor applauding for all the folks on the ship with him who played a role in their safe return today. And finally, just one Artemis II crew member left on the flight deck, Commander Reed Weissman. Applause from the group there on the flight deck, I'm sure, as well as on the level just above them, packed with people. Reed looking good as he takes his steps towards the medical bay. See our 4 Artemis II crew members back on the ship. Again, now they will head into medical bay, where they will be assessed by flight surgeons from both NASA as well as the Canadian Space Agency. A more in-depth assessment. When they get to medical bay, they will each have their own nurse. They will be helped out of their suits. And then again, we'll check to see that they're feeling good. Make sure it's not just adrenaline, but that they are feeling good from their long journey back from the moon. Beautiful shot of that sunset. illuminating our flight deck. All right, and now with our astronauts safely on board, I want to welcome on Artemis Recovery Director Lily Villarreal. Lily, I don't know how you must be feeling right now. Ecstatic, relieved?
I'm so ecstatic, relieved. Of course, we still have to bring the capsule into the well deck of the ship, but this is a major milestone to have the crew here on the ship and in Med Bay. You know, our team has been preparing and working really hard, and I'm just so proud of them all. Everything went very well, just as planned. Our teammates in Houston, the flight control team was just amazing. We were able to have great conversations and communications about everything. And I don't know what else to say. I'm just so ecstatic. It's such a wonderful feeling to get to this point. Again, we still have to get the capsule, but this is huge for all of us in landing recovery, and I couldn't do this without my team, and of course the full support of the U.S. military. There's going to be lots of, you know, high fives when we get the capsule back in, and I'm so happy that the crew's doing well, Ryan's doing well, and you know, thank you for, you know, for everybody watching.
Yeah, it was great to watch the crew come back to the ship with you. How were you feeling when you were seeing them looking so happy to be home and feeling really good?
You know, the funny thing is that we had video of them from inside the Orion vehicle. They were like that from the beginning. When we opened the hatch, they were already out of their seats, having a good time, waiting for us to open the hatch. And they opened the hatch, and of course we did the first medical assessment. Everybody was doing very well, and they were just having such a great time with the medical team that was inside the capsule. I think they were all taking selfies with you know, the phones that they have, probably talking about what they saw, and it was just smiles all around. They were having such a great time. And then we put them on the front porch when we were ready to put them on the front porch. And again, you could see they were just so ecstatic to be home and talking to everybody. So we were very happy to see all of that in the control room of the LFOC.
How remarkable is that? Again, if we think about their journey, the 695,000-mile journey around the moon and back, coming back at 30 times faster than the speed of sound. I mean, how remarkable is that they are in such good spirits?
I mean, this is an amazing crew. I think you guys have seen it for the past 10 days. They're wonderful people, and we're so happy that they brought us along on that ride. And I can't wait to see all the additional videos and pictures that they have that, you know, we'll get a hold of now that they're back on the ground. And I can't wait to hear how, you know, a little more than what we saw on the press briefings from the crew about what they saw. It's just fantastic. You know, some of my favorite people during this 10 days was the science team and how excited they were. And so this is exactly how we feel in the landing recovery team when the science team went, oh my goodness, when they heard all the discussions about the moon. This is exactly how we feel now in the landing recovery team. We're so ecstatic. Yeah. Again, we have to recover the capsule. I want to make sure we don't forget about our Orion.
Lily's all about business. She's thinking about what's next. But yeah, speaking of these 10 days, I mean, we have been along for the journey with them, live with them 24/7 for 10 days, and just really seeing the engagement that we've gotten from around the world. What do you hope people take away from this mission?
I think that's fantastic. So, you know, my story was that I went to the Kennedy Space Center. I was born in Colombia. I was 10 years old when we moved to the United States, but when I was 7, my family took me to the visitor center, and that's when I learned about Apollo. And we went to the moon, and I learned about astronauts, and that story was what really fueled me to want to do STEM and want to be an astronaut. And I think that this Artemis program is going to do exactly what, you know, what girls, you know, my age back then is 7, young people right now, girls and even like young men, obviously. But we want to empower people to know that you can do this, right? If you want to come and work for NASA, if I did it, they can do it. And Artemis program is just going to inspire everybody, and I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
Like Apollo inspired me.
Thank you so much, Lily. Really appreciate you being here. As you said, still a lot of work to do. 5 to 6 more hours to recover Orion that's still out in the water. So I'll let you get back to it. But you had beautiful words to say again. We hope that this inspires people. We hope that you come and join us at NASA and accomplish great things with us in the future. Yeah. Back to you, Rob.
Thank you, Megan, and safe sailing out there in the Pacific. Here in Mission Control, it is now all quiet. The team of flight controllers and all their support personnel have left the room to enjoy the aftermath of a textbook touchdown by Integrity that splashed down in the Pacific right on target to complete this historic flyby of the moon, the Artemis II mission. With that, we'll wrap up our coverage for the night and point you to a post-splashdown news conference in 15 minutes at 9:35 p.m. Central Time, 10:35 p.m. Eastern Time, where managers will discuss the return of the Integrity spacecraft and the completion of the Artemis II mission. With that, we'll wrap up our coverage for this evening and historic mission in the history books. This is Mission Control Houston. Main chute deploy. And we have 3 good main chutes.
Houston Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown, waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time.